Hey yo guys, it's Joe. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 beginner corals, so stay tuned. So, on this top 5 list, we're going to be listing my top 5 beginner corals. Okay, my number 5 coral for beginners has got to be the Kenya tree leather. This coral grows like crazy. I mean, you cannot stop this thing from growing once you put it in the tank. It gives a good amount of movement because it's a leather coral. It's soft. It flows in the water. So that looks kind of cool in your tank. Now it is only brown. It doesn't look that great, and it grows like crazy. So you have to keep fragging it and getting rid of it if it starts to take over your tank. But still, since it's almost impossible to kill, that's my number 5 coral for beginners. My number 4 coral for beginners, green star polyp. This coral, again, just like the Kenya tree, it grows like crazy. And once you put it in your tank, it's hard to get out, like the Java moss of reef tanks. But it looks super cool because it has really, really bright green tentacles, and it kind of looks like really bright green grass. And it's got a purple underlay of like a skeleton for it. So it looks really awesome. It glows under blue light, and it is also impossible to kill. You can't kill it. It's crazy awesome like that. But since it can take over your tank if you put it on the rocks, and it will sting other corals because of its tentacles, that is why it's down to my number 4 coral for beginners. Alright, now we're at my number 3 coral for beginners. This is where it gets interesting. These are the top 3 corals that I have found to be good for beginners. This is the red DG coral. Now the red DG is a SPS coral, which means small, polyped, and stony. So it's kind of like a skeleton. It looks like you would think of corals if you haven't seen a whole lot of different variations of the corals. Since it is an SPS coral, you have to watch the alkalinity levels, and it's a little bit more difficult. You need to make sure that your tank is in good shape for it, and it's not like completely bomb-proof like the green star polyps or the Kenya tree, but it is still pretty hardy, and you can frag it because it grows a decent amount. It doesn't grow super fast and it won't overtake your tank, but it can be fragged very easily. You just break off a piece and glue it on. So that's also very cool. That's why it is my number 3 coral for beginners. My second favorite type of coral for beginners has got to be the mushroom coral. Now this is taking the hobby by storm. It's the total fad in the reef keeping hobby now, and you can see why. Now I have really, really kind of bland ones. They were super cheap, which is why the affordability of this coral can actually be very high. Unless you get some of the higher quality mushroom corals, and those things can get really expensive. So the affordability will probably stay in the middle for this one. But this coral is also bomb-proof, just like my number 5 and 4 coral. And I'm saying, guys, you cannot kill this thing. To frag it, you cut it in half. It literally loses half of itself and it comes back. It's insane. So this coral is obviously very, very, very hardy. It's almost impossible to kill. And they look cool because they're soft and they close up at night, so you can kind of see them open and get bigger as the day goes on. That's why it is my number 2 favorite coral for beginners. This is it. This is the big one. My number 1 favorite coral for beginners has to be the Zoanthid coral. That's right, it's amazing. I love this coral. It is one of my favorite types of coral because there are so many different variations. You can get it in orange, you can get it in yellow, you can get it in green, you can get it in white, you can get it in literally any color under the rainbow with different patterns. It's kind of like the flower of the sea. It looks kind of cool. It's got like a polyp that comes out, and it has a little mouth that it catches microorganisms and it eats them to sustain itself. Now this coral does have something called palytoxin in it, which you have to be careful of. If you cut the coral or agitate it very much, it will release something called palytoxin, which is a deadly poison in large enough amounts to humans, but you really do not need to worry about it because you really kind of need to mess it up. But still, if you're handling this coral, I will caution you to wear gloves and eye protection just to be sure that you don't get any palytoxin into your blood. So seeing how these different corals stack up against each other, what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below what your favorite aquarium coral for beginners is, and I will be sure to reply to that comment. So that will just about do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please remember to drop a like below and subscribe to my channel for more awesome content twice a week. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you later.